Quiet, quiet, friends. I have a tale to tell before the tavern closes tonight. I have come a very long way and seen so many places. I've heard many stories, and I am happy to be here now to share them with you. So, gather around. In the late days of the War of Sorrows, after people had fled the old continent of Alexioste and settled here in Lorelei, after those who remembered Alexioste were deemed elders and the young had taken up arms against the demons across the sea, the war had worsened. The demons had taken the eastern coast peninsula of Gisimer. The violence was unending. Many humans, all sapiens, dwarves, elves, nobics, burlapkins, and orcs, had lost their lives fighting for the common good of all who live in Lorelei. It was a rare time of cooperation in this world, although the straits were rightly dire. Mages and warriors, brigands and paladins, all stood in the face of this evil, and few ever came home. Our story opens on one such soldier. This account was written in the soldier's diary which I found in the city of Gesimer, in its grand library. His name has been lost to time, but his words transcend it. I will read it as is, for I could never communicate this story as well as one who stood on those fields. Winter the 5th, the 12th year of the Age of Swords. I finally arrived on the coastline, the skies spiraling in a whirlwind of rain and misery. My feet are tired, and it feels as though I walked through the ocean with how thoroughly soaked my boots are. When I left my home in the mountains, I told myself it was only a 30-day journey. However, those 30 days became a watery trudge to what I now know to be my death. As I crested the last hill out of the mountains, I was faced with what would end me. The coast was a swarm of black dots like flies on an abandoned carcass. I am a hunter. I have faced bears and beasts. Seeing the demon legion in the long distance dealt a crushing blow to my spirit and sent shivers down my spine. Yet I continued my march. When I arrived at the forward camp, I saw clans of all kiths, dwarves from the small to the giant, orcs and their siblings, the goblins and ogres, nobics of rodent, dog, and cat alike, elves of their many broods from all over the lands, and even a few burlapkin bagmen. Small though they are, their yellow, glowing eyes were poised for war. These people are my clans. Though we look different, Empyrean man and Wolven Nobics are the same blood, just crafted to survive the world in different ways. Here stood the clans and their half-clan children, goblins, ogres, half-elven, half-wolven, and the like. Here we will all fall together, not just as members of our own clans, but an army of souls damned as one. There is beauty in that. I came with my own gambeson, and a helmet my village blacksmith forged, my longbow and 24 arrows fletched by my mother, a sword left behind by my father, an armory forged in love and family, but it matters not to the demons on the horizon. I found the soldiers I would stand with. A commander named Talieson Margot assigned me to the archers' line, where I met my new siblings. Tully, a giant dwarf with a bow nearly the height of me. Ilona, who is an elf with eyes like a wolf's. Davidian the burlapkin with his homemade mechanical bow. These would be the ones to my sides. Though I intended to eat in silence and mourn my impending death, I did not. Tully told us stories of her home, of cabbage rolls and great beasts hidden in the snow. Ilona played us songs on her flute, while Davidian recited poems and songs they sang in his Burlapkin village. I learned much of their homes and cultures, and for a moment felt safe, though the sounds of demons baying by the sea brought me back to my reality. Their unnatural cries reminded me every time. Winter the 6th, Age of Swords, Year 12. From the moment this day began, I knew we would not be at peace. The demons had grown louder, and Taliesin Margot told us to string our bows early. We marched across the rainy fields with the cavalry, magicians and men-at-arms watching the monstrous horde rise to greet us across the rain-swept plain. My heart quivered. My hands began to shake and sweat. The battle had not begun, but the rout had. I wanted to turn and flee. Pale creatures with wings of skin, horns curving from their dragon-like heads, some with many arms, others towering and others small. One stood in the back, a castle tall. I wanted to flee. I wanted to run, but I felt Tuli's large hand on my shoulder. "If you kill the big one, I can kill the little ones for you," the giant woman joked. I felt better. Not perfect, but at least I would die beside a friend. She hefted a long arrow out of her sheath and knocked it onto her tall war bow. I followed suit, and the rest of the archers seemingly joined in the chorus of wood on string. The demonic horde began to approach. Many flew through the air, others rushed towards us on all fours. They drew crude weapons made of iron and began to run. Monsters of all stripes joined them, all minions of the Lord of Sorrow. The archers and I raised our bows but were halted by Margot, who turned and cried to the leader of a battalion of magicians. They all raised their hands to the sky and the rain began to halt. The clouds broke apart and the sun began to burn the unholy flesh of the demon army. They did not slow, so the magicians began throwing massive balls of fire in arcs like catapults across the field. Even bolts of lightning flew from the mages' battle line. Margot lowered his hand and we all took it as a sign to fire. We launched volleys of arrows towards the enemy force. Every arrow Tully loosed made her bowstring shout a heavy thud. I tried my best to shoot, but my sweat burned my eyes and my hands still shook. I've no idea if I killed anything. Soon the cavalry began to charge and the men-at-arms broke into a wide crescent of bannermen, all attempting to swallow the horde. The demons began their retort, using their magic to summon black fire in their guts to spit at us. I watched many horses burn, some soldiers just barely dismounting in time to survive. As our armies clashed, the demons would grip our soldiers and hurl them into the air. Their swords were heavy enough to crumple helmets. The arrows continued to fly. Spells continued to burn and dance on the breeze. Then the giant one arrived. Rarely does a dwarven giant exceed 27 hands. This creature was easily 50 hands tall and broad as a mountain. It began to kick and slammed its hands on the ground. Its massive maw released billows of flame, immolating those who could not escape the tightening battle lines. Margot signaled for us to move back and we tried our best, but soon the demon infantry was upon us. We drew swords, we readied shields, but the first line of archers fell quickly. I panicked and began loosing arrows, the way my father taught me. 6 arrows in my bow hand to make drawing faster. Now I know I killed one. As the rains of arrows I was releasing forced the demons to disperse, making just enough of an opening for the remaining archers to fight. The day ended in a rout. We found ourselves further back. down hundreds of spears and swords. We only managed to escape because one of the cavalrymen drove his pike into the knee of the massive monster, and that was enough for the demons to decide to protect their own and let us run. We tended to the wounded, but we left our dead in that field, their corpses being taken by the demons back to their master across the sea for gods know what. One of the mages managed to capture one of the lesser monsters, dragging it back to our camp to study. I could hear its frantic screams from across the site, and decided I needed to go see the beast. It sat in the cage they had made for it, a muzzle of wrought iron stopping it from opening its mouth to breathe fire or curse the people around it. The demon was thin. I could see bone under its cold, dead flesh. It looked as though its body was forged together, 100 scars connecting its limbs together. Its head looked like that of a dragon, but gnarled like a deer's antlers when it takes ill, bulging and tearing through its skin to let its blue blood run. Its horns grew like bramble branches, wild and tangled, some down-turning to dig into its flesh. Its wings looked like those of a bat, but loose and made of the same poorly healed skin. Its tail was long and ended in a metal spike that seemingly was jammed in while the flesh was still healing. This is how they were made, I think. Stitched together from the broken pieces of soldiers forged and mutated in agony. This is how he makes the big ones, the small ones. One of the mages told me the only reason these things can breathe fire is because he puts the hands of spellcasters down their throats. Soon enough, someone got tired of hearing the thing shriek, and forced their spear through the bars of the cage to put it to rest. The Lord of Sorrows has millions of these, of hundreds of heights and weights. Some have extra limbs, extra heads. To think every demon forged was once made from multiple humans made my stomach turn. I could have known these people once. My comrades tried to lighten the mood by our fire, but songs and jokes held little weight for us. Instead, we sat in silence, listening to the chorus of the fallen in the distance. Winter the 7th, Age of Swords, Year 12. We were attacked in the night. Demons descended on their wings of flesh and began to burn tents. They captured 30 soldiers and flew off to the coast. Most barely managed to get to their weapons in time to save themselves. Others just fled in the chaos. I don't blame them. When the sun finally rose, there was only 79 of us remaining. Taliesin Margot was considering calling a retreat, telling us to flee and find other armies to band with. However, we would soon be reinforced. A single mage followed by 10 tall men in heavy armor strode down the path towards us. Their armor was covered in symbols that glowed faintly. Their weapons were heavy-looking and battle-worn. Bulwarks, they are called. Their mage and Taliesin began to speak, and the bulwarks wordlessly helped fix the camp. I tried to speak to them, but they would only tell me their names and the name of their mage. They never doffed their armor, only their helmets to feel the rain on their tattooed and scarred faces. These men must have been 21 hands tall, a shire horse the only fitting mount for them. Soon enough, Taliesin gave us the order to ready for battle, the 90 of us standing in a field across from the demonic horde. Infantry ordered to protect the archers, mages ordered to protect the infantry, archers ordered to defend the bulwarks. The metal men ran down the field towards the demons. Their weapons shattered the ramshackle blades of the beasts. If one tried to flee, the bulwark would simply catch its leg and drag it back down to the earth. The bulwark's weapons sparked to life with fire and lightning and other magical energies. I watched one metal man throw his halberd aside and begin casting spells to kill the beasts around him. We all stood in awe and watched, not an arrow loose, as they won the battle. After our victory, we marched towards the coast, a secondary platoon of soldiers catching up to us as we walked. We saw the beach and made camp. I couldn't help but be curious. I asked the mage what the bulwarks were, and he just chuckled. He told me they were mutants, once human, now something far worse. They were servants of war, weapons only. To make one was costly, so he assured me I was safe from being transformed. He told me he regretted making them. They are slaves with swords, and the world will never recover from their creation. Though I didn't understand, I went to sit by the fire with my comrades. Tully tried to remind us that they weren't all that large. She stands taller than most of the bulwarks. Ilona recounted some of the feats of strength and violence displayed by them on the field that day. Davidian stitched his burlap skin back together in places where it had torn, and told us that his species was made as servants to mages, and that there is no worse feeling than having no mind of your own, trapped in your own body, commanded by another. Taliesin pulled me aside and told me to go scout where the demons were gathered in the town ahead. He was certain that my skill as a hunter could keep me unseen and safe. I don't see much point in arguing. I departed the camp with 2 sheafs of arrows and a bundle of food to eat in case I got trapped. The walk to the town was quiet, the drumming of the rain on the trees and the dirt my only companion against the screams in the night. I walked through destroyed houses and crawled under fallen logs to stay out of sight. The demons moved in circular patrols around the town square. I counted 74, before deciding the number is likely in the hundreds. Some of the demons slept, curled up, clutching their own flesh in agony as they tried to rest. Others wandered the area, gathering metal and corpses in the center. When I finally reached the center of the town, I saw him. Without ever hearing someone describe him, my soul knew with certainty that this was the Lord of Sorrows stood before me. He was like a bulwark, a tall suit of steel armor covered in glowing magical symbols. His helmet had an open face, but no man to be seen, only a swirling, burning vortex. I began to cry, seemingly an instinct deep in my core. I got tight to the nearest cover and just held myself. By the time my bravery returned, he had left the center of town. I ran back to camp to tell them that the Lord was present. This was his last entry. In the center of that very town now sits a statue of a member of almost every clan of Lorelei. The dog people, the cat folk, the Nobiks, dwarves of all their heights, elves of their many clans, sapiens like me, orcs, ogres and goblins, burlapkins and bulwarks. The war didn't end that day. The demons won that battle easily and continued their onslaught on the world. However, the poets of the time wrote this song for those who fell. I would like to play it for you now. As we of blade walk through the field, the sun burns bright, the wind still blows. As we of blade fight in the field, our metal dulls, we soldiers bleed. As we of blade die in the field, the birds don't sing, our wounds won't heal. As we of blade stay in this field, our field of swords, where we must stay. But miss us not, soon you will see the perfect lands where we still breathe. One day we'll rise and guide your swords, our strength your blade, till then we sleep. Thank you all for being here tonight. This story is one without a happy ending, but I believe it needs to be shared. Next we meet, we will talk of Will Beckron, the flower knight of Belgravelt, a man whose legend means a great deal to us, and I doubt this will be the only time I speak of him. Until then, I have a tome of tales from every nation to share with you all. I have seen many heroes, many monsters. I have learned of the magic offered by the goddess and the magic humans can conjure for themselves. I have seen warfare, and I have tales of peace. I cannot wait to tell them all to you. Good night, and thank you.
Legends of Lorelei is a narrative fiction podcast by Livewire Multimedia Stories. The Bard is voiced and created by Gwen Fullman, who can be found as @Gwen_Fullman on Instagram. Written by Gwen Fullman. Co-executive produced by Gwen Fullman and Elizabeth Fullman, with music by Gwen Fullman. If you enjoyed what you just listened to, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/Livewire Multimedia Stories. There, you will get exclusive access to early episodes and fun perks like access to polls and our Discord server, where we collaborate on projects and resources, share fan art, and just hang out. If you like this project and would like to learn more about it or any of our other projects, please follow us on social media. We are on Tumblr @Livewire Media, on Instagram @Livewire Multimedia, and on YouTube @Livewire Multimedia Stories. But really, the best way to support us is to share this with a friend. Thank you for listening.